What's up, guys? Your friendly neighborhood geek here, doing another re-review. This time on one of my favorite figures in my collection. I would think at this point, a very well-known video game protagonist from Nintendo. Um, and their franchise has been around for, I think, going on 35 or a little over 30 years now. The 30th anniversary, I believe, was in 2017. We are looking at, let me get it real quick, Joyride Studios Samus Aran. Yeah, I adore Samus and I adore the Metroid franchise. I think I played four. No, at this point I think I played five, but I've only beaten three. I've beaten the two GBA games, Metroid Zero Mission, which is a remake of the first game from 1985, I think, and Metroid Fusion, which for many, many years was the latest installment in the series up until that point when Fusion came out. I recently, no, not recently. Yeah, I recently beat Zero Mission, but I did beat Samus Returns, which was a remake of Metroid 2 Return of Samus for the Game Boy Color back in 1991. I beat that on my 3DS, and that was a really fun game. I'm definitely going to go back and play it many more times. So in total, I've beaten three: Zero Mission, Samus Returns, and Fusion. I'm currently playing the original Return of Samus, which is the second installment, second game in the series. On emulator, I played I played a demo of the Prime remaster, which is another reason why I'm deciding to talk about Samus, is because Nintendo had re-released Metroid Prime, which came out in 2002 in HD, and it's been getting a lot of praise recently. So I thought, what's more of a better time to talk about Samus than now? On top of the fact that I have a lot to say. On top of the fact that Jack Pacific, who currently owns the license to make Nintendo figures, they made a Samus action figure some years back. I have three out of the four Samuses they made. I didn't bother to pull them out for this review, but I might pull them out for my second Samus review. Um, they just they just released, which I was unaware of. They released a new, updated, better articulation and better quality action figure of their old Jack Pacific Samus. So I'm definitely going to get that probably later this week. Most likely, I will finally get that figure. Um, but yeah, so like I said, I played a demo of Metroid Prime while I was at Target shopping, and there was a fan game made based off the second game. That's a whole story, but I played a little bit of that, and I played a chunk of Super Metroid, which is considered one of the best games in the series. Um, Unfortunately, I was playing on emulator, and my data didn't save, so that kind of turned me off from wanting to go back to it. Um, and I played like 5 minutes of the first game and died. So I and I played a little bit of Prime Hunters. Yeah, I don't really care for that one. And there's a handful of other games I haven't yet played, but I don't. Most likely, I won't. I don't plan on playing all of the games. Just the games I really like. I would still like to play Dread at some point when I get my own Switch. I'll play Dread, but anyway, now you guys know my love for the franchise. I got introduced to Samus in the series through my cousin. I saw him play Metroid Prime, like on Wii, I think. So that was like my first introduction to the series itself. My first introduction to Samus was Super Smash Bros. Melee. Of course, not knowing that she was a woman in a suit and not knowing any of the lore, anything like that, I just thought she looked cool. All these years later, I'm a diehard fan. She's my favorite Nintendo character, probably my favorite female protagonist in gaming as a whole. When I was young, some trivia, Donkey Kong was my favorite Nintendo character. I grew up with the Donkey Kong series. I still love the Donkey Kong series, but Yeah. So, but yes, I bought this figure when I lived in Ohio, so I've had it for maybe like 4.5 years. I did open her when I got her, which I feel kind of dumb. I kind of wish I didn't because this figure in box, this figure is going for like $800. That's the most I've seen it go for. I was able to get two of them. I see the loose one. I saw the loose one recently, complete, without the packaging. Um, Someone wanted this figure for $800. Don't spend $800 for a loose Samus toy. Please don't spend that much money. If anything, I don't know. The most you should pay is $100, even if it's loose. And I say that because I got mine for like $100. I got mine for a steal, but I think at the time the person who sold it to me was going through, a rough time, and they really needed the money, which I do feel kind of bad about. So I think that's why I got it for so cheap, and maybe they didn't completely know how much this figure could go for. But I digress, So I got really, really lucky. I got this for $100. And I did a unboxing of this figure when I got it that you could probably find on my channel. If you scroll all the way down, you'll probably find the video. But yeah, so Joyride Studios existed a long time ago. I'm not sure how long they were around, but they did a lot of video game characters. Some figures I feel like maybe have aged better than others. This was technically the first Samus toy released to the public. So, like I said, this was the first Samus action figure we ever got. I believe this came out in, I'm not sure. I think I don't see a date. I don't see a date on the packaging. I think this came out in 2002, maybe, or 2001. I know it was early 2000s. No, I don't see it anywhere. You see the box is kind of open. I'm thinking of resealing her back and displaying her on my wall. So I might get super glue or something and just reseal her back. I'm thinking of getting a third figure, third loose one, because my other one, which I will, show for the articulation and all that stuff. When I got my loose one, which was when I lived in KY, Kentucky, when I was taking her out of the packaging, her leg broke. And I was so upset about that. I managed to super glue it, and it's been reattached ever since. But of course, the articulation on that leg doesn't work anymore. So I do eventually want to get one that I can actually, play with and pose around, and all that stuff. So eventually, yeah, I probably will get a third one, at some point. But anyway, um, yes. So like I said, luckily the quality of the packaging still holds up. I like the detail on her. To me, I personally feel like this is like the best Samus we ever got. Now, yes, the articulation is limited. Yes, she doesn't come with like any energy beam effects, or she could have came with a Metroid or something. But this figure, this design kind of represents like how she looked in the second game and in Super Metroid being the third game, on the Super Nintendo, I believe. And I just like this bulky design a lot more. Like it's colorful, like the colors pop, and I like the bulky look she has. Um, like the modern design for Samus and her power suit. I don't want to say it kind of comes off. It kind of okay. It kind of does come off a little bit more feminine, a little bit more sleek. You look at it, and you could kind of tell like there might be a lady in that armor. Um, but like with this one, you can't tell at all. It could be a man in the armor, it could be a lady in the armor, it could be a robot, it could be an alien. You don't know, and I like that this look gives off that aesthetic compared to the modern look. I like the modern look, but like I said, the modern look just looks too, I guess, kind of mainstream and too slim, and like I said, it has a more kind of feminine look to it. But that's just me. It's my personal opinion. Like I said, this figure comes with, which is one of the big things I like about this figure. It comes with a swappable head with her without her helmet, because in the game, depending on how long it takes you to beat it, if it takes you the shortest amount of time to beat the game, you would see her without her power suit, or you might see her without her helmet. So I really like that the Joyride Studios made this figure with the swappable head. That to me, that's one of the big selling points about this toy. Um, there's some type of like Nintendo Power magazine. Nintendo Power, I believe, was like a subscription service back in the day. I don't think they do it anymore. You know, you could just get all their information through Nintendo Direct, and I think maybe like Game Informer. I'm not sure if Game Informer is still around or not. Um, so yeah, that's really cool. They you give you an issue of Nintendo Power. I believe when this figure came out, it was $10. $10 for this toy, and now it's going for $800 in box. That is crazy. And there is a lot of interesting Metroid um, merchandise. There's a YouTuber. I think her name was Gaming Chili Hedgehog. I think she's done videos on a lot of video game merchandise, and she did a long video on Metroid merchandise. So if you're interested, I recommend you check out her video. Just go on YouTube and type um, Metroid merchandise, and it should pop up. But yeah, like I said, the packaging is really really cool. They did other Nintendo characters. They did Mario. They did Link. They did Beat from Jet Set Radio, which is a Sega property, but that's still really cool. They did Sonic Adventure 2 figures, which are really well or really sought out. Um, Here's the back, which is you see Joyride, Nintendo, www.nintendopower.com. Okay, so this says I was right. This says 2002. I'm not sure how well it's coming on screen. Yeah, so this figure came out 2002. So the same year that Metroid Prime and Metroid Fusion came out. So that's really cool. Um, so let's see. We have a picture of Super Metroid, um, and we have a picture of the first Metroid game, and we have some other stuff. Oh wow, a picture of The Rock on the back of this. I never noticed that. A WrestleMania, um, I guess a WrestleMania video game advertisement. I don't know. I guess I'll read. Since 1988, Nintendo Power Magazine has been the ultimate source of inside information and in-depth strategies for Nintendo games, written by the gaming pros in Nintendo's headquarters. Nintendo Power gives you the inside scoop on the latest Nintendo GameCube and Game Boy Advance games. Every month, Nintendo Power features codes, maps, strategies, previews, reviews, breaking news. Sign up to get subscriber perks, including exclusive online access to special game tips and online chats with the Nintendo staff. So this is basically just giving you what Nintendo Power was. Another fun thing, I like this illustration of Link. This is really cool. So another big selling point about this figure, um, which is awesome, you get basically a brief synopsis of Samus's character, um, like how tall she is, some other details, some other facts. Yeah, height 6'3", armor. I take that back. Oh, armor power suit. Weight 198 pounds. Occupation bounty hunter. Debit Metroid NES 1986. Okay, so I was a year wrong. Came out 1986. Um, so yeah, so they basically give you tips on Super Metroid. Um, yeah, because that was the latest game up until this point. Until, like I said, Metroid. That's not true. Well, yeah, that's true. Because Metroid did not get a game on Nintendo 64. That's a whole story. Um, So yeah, it gives you some tips on how to beat some of the bosses. Oh, so it gives you some tips on how to beat some of the bosses from Metroid 1 and Super Metroid. So that's really cool. It shows you what titles the games appeared on and what system, what year. Um, so up until this point, I believe, like I said, Fusion and Metroid Prime had not come out yet because on this packaging it says the latest game up until this point was Super Smash Bros. Melee in 2001, which, like I said, was the latest game she appeared in since Super Metroid. So that was a pretty big deal. Super Metroid came out in 1994. Wow. So yeah. So again, this is another big selling point. Like they went all out, with this detail and illustrations, tips, all that good stuff. Um, and like I said, to this day, that's why I feel like this is like the best figure we've gotten in regards of quality. Because no figure that's came after has been able to stack to this Joyride toy. I mean, like the Jack Pacific, their figures, which are like inexpensive $10 toys. She came with her morph ball, which this figure should have came with a morph ball. I'll say that this figure does not come with her morph ball. Um, I'm trying to remember. Figma, the Figma Japanese toy company, they've made figures based off the Prime series. Prime 3, I think, which is a really, really good looking figure. I would like to get that, but it's expensive, of course. Um, her Zero suit, which is her modern, her blue power suit when she's not in the armor. They made a figure of that, and they made a figure of her look in Other M, which a lot of people don't like that game. I'm not bothered by it. I'm not going to get into all that stuff, but yeah. So we've gotten like high end figures, but I don't know. I just like I just like the aesthetic of this old Nintendo Power toy. So that is the packaging. That is Samus in all her glory in the box. Put her to the side, and we'll look at the toy. So of course this one is loose. I forgot how much I paid. I think I paid like 50, $60 for it, which is reasonable. Um, like I said, so some detail you can't really see it on camera. Some of the detail, like I said, she's loose. There's some scratches and paint scratches and stuff like that in areas, but it's a toy from 2002. Let me check again. Yeah, from 2002. So, um, but yeah, like so. Interestingly, Samus, of course, the series is kind of inspired by Metroid. Heavily Metroid. I mean, heavily inspired by the second Aliens film. Um, she was born on a space colony. There's a manga that was made to kind of explain her origin, her backstory, and all that stuff. It's really worth the read. It's really good. It's really, really, like I said, entertaining, interesting. You get to learn her backstory. She was basically a space police officer. She was part of the Galactic Federation, but she didn't particularly care for it too much or being told what to do, and she felt like she would be better off doing her own thing. So she eventually became a bounty hunter. So she had two parents. They were killed by her arch nemesis, Ridley, who's like a freaking space pterodactyl, probably one of the coolest looking villains in video games. Um, um, and she was like his space pirates. He was a general. Space pirates. They had went to her where the colony she lived on, to steal some stuff, steal some energy, steal some materials, and of course K-word all the people in the process. Her father and her mother basically sacrificed themselves to protect her. She was the sole survivor of the attack. These ancient bird-like people called the Chozo, which were like, um, I don't know if you would say they were scientists. They were like explorers, scientists, wanting to better the galaxy. Type of characters. They had took her in and raised her, and basically kind of made her a super soldier. They infused her with Chozo DNA so she could, survive on the planets on their home world and all that stuff. So not to get into spoilers, the Chozo are responsible for creating Mother Brain, who is another villain, who's leader of the space pirates later on in the series, and they are responsible for creating the Metroids. Now, why they created Mother Brain and why they created the Metroids, I'm not going to get into all that because I'd rather you go look up that information yourself if you're interested. But it's kind of interesting when you think about it. Like I said, they're responsible for two of the major threats that Samus has to deal with later on in the series, unintentionally. But yeah, so that's a little brief synopsis on her character. So like I said, I feel like she's probably like the most grounded character in Nintendo's franchises. She's the most grounded, the most, I guess you say, human out of all the characters, so I really do like that aspect. I was watching a video. Someone felt like if they were to make a character LGBTQ, Samus would be like the best fit. Um, Personally, honestly, I could see that. I could genuinely see her being, gay. But I just feel like that wouldn't really be necessary because the games, like I said, that her sexuality or what she's interested in is not a focus of the game. So, on a certain degree, I just feel like it would be unnecessary, honestly. But at the same time, I'm like, well, if they decided to acknowledge that, I wouldn't be bothered. I could see that, honestly. So that's just my opinion on that possibility. Um, but like I said, so articulation, basic articulation. You see, she makes these squeaky noises. The elbow joint, her fist can go 360. That's a nice detail on the fist. Nice detail all around the figure. She's tall. I said she's tall. Like I said, she's like 6 foot. If you saw me read. Technically, her legs can go 360 if you. Well, it could if I could move. If I could move the arm, it could go 360. Knee joint, foot joint. This foot can move, and so could this thigh. But like I said, this is the part that broke that I was able to glue back. So yeah, unfortunately. So this knee joint no longer bends. On this foot, like I said, has Joyride Studios, made in China. Oh, I forgot. This figure says. Well, I thought it did. I thought it did. Packaging. Could have sworn it was on mine, but maybe it's not. Some boxes have. This is like one of like 600 or something. So I'm not sure if these were like a limited amount of figures made, like a limited set, like one of 500, one of 600 or something like that. I could have sworn mine had that on there, but maybe I'm wrong. Um, but yeah, anyway, like I said, so this arm can move, her arm can move. And like I said, her arms can move. So again, it was 2002. I'm sure there could have been a way for them to like articulate these like the modern figure has. So like I said, she's a little limited, but you can get her into some cool poses. Nowadays she's modeled. She has a ponytail, a blonde ponytail. This version, her hair is just down, just flowing on laying on top of her armor, which I do like. It makes this figure stand out. Um, Makes this figure stand out. And she has blue eyes, which I'm surprised, she has naturally blue eyes. So I'm surprised, the designers got that little detail way back then. And here's the back of her. It has detail on the back. So, real quick, I will show. Oh, I will show her without her with her helmet on. You can see kind of the inside a little bit. The inside's kind of hollow. One thing, of course, over time, kind of a bummer. Swapping the head in and out repeatedly. There's some scratches. Some of the red paint has got scratched, but it's covered. It's covered by the hair and by the helmet, I think. So, like I said, it's not that big of a deal, but it does kind of suck. Like I said, this toy. I don't want to say it's cheap, but it's all these years later. Well, if you take care of anything, all these years later, it's still going to hold up. but it's just kind of a bummer. Like I said, the quality's kind of gone down. But then I got this loose. I'm assuming this could have been played with, so one of the reasons why I keep the new one, I just put her back. I just bought a second one and put her back in the packaging, so she could be in the best condition. But yes, here is what she looks like without. This is what she looks like underneath. Um, so if you wanted to, you could just like have this on display or something, and then get like the Zero Suit figure and have it posed next to the armor. That would be cool. So I see someone kind of painted areas on the head a little bit, which I'm not bothered by. Like the detail on the head looks cool. Her helmet looks like her ship, which is kind of funny. Um, but yeah. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so the helmet kind of covers up those scratches a little bit, but it's not that big of a deal. So here she is in all her glory. Like I say, here she is in all her glory. And yeah, she is an awesome toy. Like I said, she looks really cool with the helmet. Um, there is a YouTuber who doesn't upload often, but he's done a few Metroid stop motions, and I think the last one he did, he used this figure in his stop motion, which I thought was the freaking coolest thing ever. I've never seen anyone use this toy in a stop motion animation, so I thought that was really cool. Um, yeah. So like I said, this figure, I love this figure. She's one of my favorite figures in my collection. The fact that it's so sought out, 20 going on 20 years later, makes me even more grateful that I got my two figures when I did. So yeah, but she's a solid toy. She's a part of, the franchise's history, part of Metroid merchandise history. Like I said, she was the first Samus action figure, we ever got. Um, and yeah, and like I said, she's just dope. Just a cool, solid representation, a first solid representation of Samus in action figure form. I forgot to show it. You can pose if you have the head, the helmet, the helmetless head on the body. You can pose her holding this head, this helmet in her hand. So kind of give her a victory pose, like at the end of one of her games. So that's really cool, and I do that sometimes. So that's something you could do, if you were to display her. So like I said, in regards again this figure, if you want to get it in box, I wish you the best of luck. Don't spend too much for it. Try to find it for a good deal. Try to bargain with whoever's selling it. You know, if you find her loose, again, don't spend too much. Uh, yeah, only spend the amount she's worth. Um, so yeah, but if you don't like this figure, but you still appreciate what it did for the franchise, there's still plenty of other Samuses that exist. So but yeah, that's it for this review. I didn't even think to do a size comparison. There's really no point. Just take my word for it. She's tall. She's a tall, bulky figure. She's maybe taller than a handful of my figures, the figures in my collection. So, yeah, she's bigger than a Marvel Legends. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, hope you guys all enjoyed this little history lesson on Metroid and Samus. Like, comment, subscribe. Next video, like I said, it's kind of a spoil. I already kind of spoiled it. I said I was gonna review and buy the latest Samus toy. And in that review, I'll probably show a size comparison with the old Jakks Pacific Samus toys. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I'm really looking forward to that new figure. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. Peace, you guys.